Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at Sand. This is a request from my community members. Thank you so much to my patrons for requesting that I cover this. You are greatly appreciated. I deeply, deeply appreciate all of your support and how awesome you are. And if you're not part of the community, consider joining up. It's actually a really cool experience where we all learn and grow together. And I send out signals for every single trade that I take, and it's fully automated through Cornix. You just one-click follow if you'd like. Anyways, check that out in your own time. But what we want to do here is look at Sand here, and let's get a big picture here first and kind of work our way down. So things are kind of messy with Sand here recently, and I got a lot of requests on like, what do we do now, right? We drop below the lowest support level. Well, I'm sure there's ways in which we can find some reprieve here, but what we'll do is we'll take a look at the big picture, work our way down, see what's going on, take it from there. So let's just look at the standard stuff. Obviously, most of the standard stuff doesn't apply because Sand took off too quick, too fast, right? I mean, what, that was in the almost 300% in a week. So yeah, that's definitely too much. So all the moving averages are kind of like lagged out. RSI is under 70 again, which isn't terrible. It's standard for what's happening, but it's not a great sign. That's more of a bearish sign, obviously, because of the fact that that's usually a support level when you have this nice bullish trend, for lack of better terms. We've also got a potential MACD divergence that's going to occur here soon, where the bullish momentum is going to be waning, and obviously we're going to see some bearish momentum waxing, right? It's going to just shift that momentum. So we could be in bear town for a little while, right? This is kind of the bottom line based on this indication alone. Now, that's not the end all be all, but it does give us an indication of what's going on, right? Big picture. That is more so the macro. So taking a look at 4-hour chart. Let's see what's going on here. So we're underneath the 50-day sub-moving average. That was supposed to hold as a support, but didn't. That's not ideal, obviously. And we are also below the lowest support line there at about $2.44. So what we have to do is rely on the previous support levels that were established and essentially use those as potential supports moving forward. There's no guarantees on this. This was obviously a Fibonacci retracement line from before. So what we could and should do is maybe consider establishing new lines and just kind of see where it's at, right? So instead of forecasting the future and where the price is going to be higher, we'll go ahead and see where the price could be lower, right? It's kind of the best way to go here in this case. So why don't we just go ahead and do this here? Clean bill of health, all right? Okay, so we'll just go ahead and jump right into the Fibonacci retracement lines and go ahead and see where it's at presently, okay? Now, good news is where the price action right now is at for the last 12 hours, you can see it's kind of holding steady at the support level about 235. That was a previous high, and obviously basically a high that couldn't close above. So that does reaffirm the fact that this could be a pretty strong support level. So we do like to see that. So that being said, we'll go ahead and mark this guy here. I think 235 could be the bottom, right? At least the beginning of the bottom, if that makes any sense. And what we'll do is we'll just mark the second Fibonacci retracement line in case the price were to continue to come down. We could see it come down to about 205, I'd say, as a worst case. But let's pay attention over the next 24 hours to see how the price responds to this support level here. And I'll be happy to look at that again tomorrow in case you'd like to tune in. So we'll take a look at that, of course. Other than that, let's go ahead and look at some other things, and then we'll kind of get back to the retracement lines there. Look at the 1-hour chart and see where we're at. We're obviously going to be underneath the cloud. Yeah, getting kind of slammed right now. Because the common rule of thumb here is that you want to be above the cloud to take entry for a long position, right? And had you just say shorted a while back, you could have been in pretty good shape to have gotten a good 10% gain, I guess. Now, not a lot of people are shorting, of course, more traditionally. You could see more long positions. So right now, we're basically not in a good long position situation, right? So I know a lot of people will be like, hey, why not buy the dip? Why not buy the bottom? That's okay if you're dollar cost averaging, right? If you're doing more like just say a day trade or a short-term swing trade, maybe a different story. But for lack of better terms, it doesn't hurt to dollar cost average if you have the additional funds and with the intention of price coming back up eventually. There's no guarantee it's going to come back up. At this point, all we see is bearish sentiment. So keep in mind that this rose up way too fast. Okay, so take a look at this. I mean, again, this is awesome to look at this big picture, right? Because you see where it's at, you can see where it could be, right? Most retracements occur about 75% of the way that it started, right? So if you kind of just cut 75% off this, somewhere in this lower quadrant is roughly where the price could and should end up being in the long run, just based on the fact that how high it went up, right? You go up that fast, that quick, you can expect a slow death, I guess, for lack of better terms. I'm sorry to laugh. I know you probably have a decent amount of money invested. I know a lot of people do. but it's no surprise that the price is going where it's at right now. Most coins are going to start doing this. I mean, I'm surprised LRC hasn't done this as well. Not to say it's going to, but traditionally speaking, you see that kind of retracement, right? About 75% or 60, somewhere in there. So I would say better case scenario, price consolidates around 205. It did have a consolidation period here, which is helpful, right? That little slow sideways action there. Yeah, it wasn't slow. Obviously, we had a pretty big candle, but that is helpful too, right? So it just means that we may not see it crash down as hard as we may expect. So I do think that 205 is a likely probability if we lose the support at 235, right? So I would just say wait to see how the price responds at 235. If it breaks below and stays below on the one-day candlesticks more specifically, then we can kind of understand that, yes, it'll probably start to progress towards 205. Okay, so I think that's a good likelihood. Look at the 1 hour chart though. Let's get back here and just quickly look at TD sequential. We got a reset here, which is kind of good, but kind of not. I don't know. In other words, when you hit a 9, it's supposed to reverse, right? The price is supposed to go back up or, go sideways. It's going sideways right now, which is advantageous, right? It's consolidating right at support, but it's not moving past that, right? So it basically just means we're probably going to be stuck here for a little while, kind of like it was stuck up here, and kind of go from there. Another thing we want to look at too, of course, is the volume profile, kind of see what's going on here. And we can see that the most amount of volume is above the price action, right? So that's essentially considered to be a resistance, right? Because everybody's buying that high. You'd be surprised. It actually works opposite of what you think, where the price is actually lower below that. People are less likely to want to sell their higher positions, so the price is going to keep going lower because there's a lot of holding on for dear lifers, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm not surprised to see that right there, kind of reaffirming that resistance level. So let's go ahead and mark that. What is that? The resistance at about 0.618. In other words, right at $2.77 is a pretty strong resistance level. All right, so let's just go ahead and mark one last thing here. Let's mark the secondary support here, just so we have some kind of fallback if we lose 235. All right, so this is roughly where we're at, right? We don't need to worry about this upper stuff here just yet. I think it's less likely we're going to see the price increase dramatically, right? Because you can see this here. Look at these candlesticks. Two major, very long candle wicks, right? Those basically tell us that there was an attempt and a very strong failed rejection, because that only took place in 1 hour. Therefore, I think it's pretty safe to say that Sand is going to continue to either, best case scenario, consolidate right here around 235, or worst case, we lose that support, trend towards 205 and see what happens. So again, I'll take a closer look at this tomorrow. I think right now it's a little premature to understand because it hasn't established itself as a support level yet. That's really only about 7 to 8 hours of trading right on this line here. And we don't know where we're going to go from here. But don't be surprised if the price comes down any further, just based on, again, the higher you fall, the higher you rise, the harder you fall, right? That's kind of the general concept. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. Those terms do apply to trading, right? Either way, that's kind of what's going on here with Sand. So I hope you have very good luck and that it goes well and the price comes back up. But we'll check it again tomorrow and see what happens. I expect the price to consolidate here or around 205 eventually. But just bear in mind, this is going to be the new support channel moving forward, because we definitely lost the support where it was at previously. Okay, well, hopefully you found benefit here. I know it's not the greatest news, but it is what it is. I'm always going to shoot you straight. So I thank you so much for joining me here. If you have a chance to subscribe to any of my, channels, I guess you could say, go ahead and do so. More importantly, my Patreon community, because it's a really awesome experience. We actually get to prevent things like this from happening in most cases. Regardless, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you then. Take care.